Sometimes you'll want to create a query framework that answers many variations on the same question. Instead of hard coding your queries to use the exact same criteria every time they're run, you can instead ask the user when it's run for the criteria. This is called a parameter request, and they're another very useful tool to have when building your databases. We'll start by creating a simple query that looks at our customers. Under the Create tab, Query Design, and add the Customers table. I'll close the Show Table window, and from that table we'll choose first name, last name, and I'll scroll down and grab state. Now we've seen how to specify criteria that looks at a single state. For instance, down under the state in this criteria row, I'll type WA to select all of the customers that lived in Washington state. If I were to save this query, every time it's run, it will always return Washington customers. Now imagine creating 49 other variations of this query, one for every state in the country. That would be kind of tedious, and not to mention how quickly that would clutter up your navigation pane. We can instead change this into a parameter request that asks for the state we're interested in when it's run. So I'm going to delete where I put in Washington here. And instead, I'm going to type in a request, and I'll put this in square brackets. So an open square bracket, which state would you like? And a closing square bracket. Again, we can make the state columns wider by clicking and dragging the field. The text that I put between the square brackets will become a prompt in a text box when we run the query. Let's run it to see. I'll switch into Datasheet view, and we get this enter parameter value text box. Which state would you like? Here I can type in the abbreviation TX for Texas and press OK. The query record set displays all of the customers that live in the state of Texas. We can rerun this query by pressing this refresh button or by switching back and forth between Design View and Datasheet view. I'll press refresh here. We get the enter parameter value box again. This time I'll type CA for California and press OK. And there's all of our California customers. It's simple, flexible, and very fast. We can also combine parameter requests with some of the other query criteria tricks that we've seen earlier in the course. For instance, we can combine one with a wildcard character to filter last names to a specific character. Let's go back into Design View here, and I'll delete the state criteria. Underneath our last name here, I'll write out a parameter request that uses a wildcard character. I'll write like, open square bracket, enter the first character of last name, closing square bracket. I'll then type ampersand, which will simply join whatever I type in the parameter request box to this asterisk character that I'll wrap in quotation marks. Let me enlarge this field so we can see the whole thing. So it reads like, open square bracket, enter first character of last name, closing bracket, ampersand, quotation mark, asterisk, and the final quotation mark. Okay, let's go ahead and run this query. I'll view its datasheet. We get the parameter request box, enter the first character of last name. Here I can type in A and press OK. And now Access returns all of the customers whose last name starts with the letter A. If I press refresh and type in a different character, this time I'll type M, say OK. Now we get all the customers whose last name starts with M. Parameter requests add another level of customization to your database processes and can allow you to quickly build a query framework that can answer an infinite number of queries. Whatever we type into the parameter request box gets populated into the criteria field, and it allows us to create one query that answers lots of questions, rather than creating many queries that only answer one question each.